Good morning, Year 7. I hope you're well and having a lovely day. So today's poem will be Warning by Jenny Joseph. For this lesson, you'll need a pen and your book, a copy of the poem, and highlighters or coloured pens. I hope you enjoy reading and studying the poem. Please could you write the date and the title of Warning? For your do now, I would like you to answer these 3 questions. How do you feel about getting older? Do you think your feelings towards aging will ever change? And do you think retirement will be fun or boring? And make sure you write why. Pause the video for 5 minutes to answer these questions. So, the objectives of today's lesson. Firstly, to understand the meaning of Warning by Jenny Joseph, and secondly, to be able to analyse the writer's use of language and structure. So let's start by thinking about the meaning. So we're going to start with the title. What does the word warning mean? What kind of warning might the poem be giving? Write down as many ideas as you can. Pause the video for 5 minutes in order to do this. So, a warning provides advance notice of something, typically something bad. It could be a warning about the weather, a warning about a person, or a warning about an event. Pause the video to jot down this definition and potentially add what I've got on the slide to what you've written. Okay, so let's read through the poem together. When I am an old woman, I shall wear purple, with a red hat, which doesn't go and doesn't suit me. And I shall spend my pension on brandy and summer gloves and satin sandals and say we've no money for butter. I shall sit down on the pavement when I'm tired and gobble up samples in shops and press alarm bells and run my stick along public railings and make up for the sobriety of my youth. I shall go out in my slippers in the rain and pick flowers in other people's gardens and learn how to spit. You can wear terrible shirts and grow more fat and eat 3 pounds of sausages at a go, or only bread and pickle for a week, and hoard pens and pencils and beer mats and things in boxes. But now we must have our clothes that keep us dry, and pay our rent, and not swear in the street, and set a good example for the children. We must have friends to dinner, and read the papers. But maybe I ought to practice a little now, so people who know me are not too shocked and surprised when suddenly I am old and start to wear purple. So what do you think this poem is about? Think about who is speaking, who are they speaking to, and why are they speaking? For a challenge, use quotes from the poem to support your answers. Pause the video for about 5 minutes to answer these questions. So, meaning. You may have written some of the following. The speaker speaks longingly about all the things she will do when she is an old woman. She believes she cannot do these things now because they go against social expectations. However, when you are old, social expectations change and you have more freedom to relax and have fun. At the end of the poem, she decides she would rather start living freely now than wait till she's old. I'd like you to add anything you didn't write to your notes. Did you get the gist of the poem? And also consider, do you agree with the speaker? Do you think that retirement will be really fun and you get to break free of what everyone expects from you? Or do you think you'll be too old and achy to have a good time? So when you're writing down what's on the slide, always consider whether you agree with the speaker. So questions. I would like you to answer the following questions. If possible, provide quotes to support your answers. When she is old, what food might the speaker eat? How might the speaker look when she is old? When she is old, what will the speaker buy? When she is old, what will the speaker wear? What is one reason the speaker currently feels she must act in a sensible manner. And finally, what is one reason the speaker might start acting more freely now, even though she isn't old yet? Pause the video for 10 minutes to write down your answers. So let's go through the answers. When she is old, what food might the speaker eat? We've got shop samples, £3 of sausages, or bread and pickle. And the quote to support that is, gobble up samples in shops, eat £3 of sausages at a go, or only bread and pickle for a week. How might the speaker look different when she's old? She might be larger. You can grow more fat. So she's looking forward to not worrying about her figure, being able to eat what she wants without anyone judging her or without the need to impress anybody. When she's old, what will she buy? Brandy, summer gloves, satin sandals. I will spend my pension on brandy and summer gloves and satin sandals and say we've no money for butter. So in case you were wondering, a pension is basically you put a little bit of money away every year when you're working, and then you get it, and the company you work for puts away a bit of money as well for you, and at the end of your career you take that pension and that's what you've got to live on for the rest of your life. So it's not an infinite amount of money. How much you get, of course, depends on how much you earned, but she wants to spend it on things she really wants rather than the necessities that she felt she had to buy and had to be sensible about buying during her before her retirement. So what will she wear? Purple clothes and a red hat. So I imagine currently, she's not old yet, she has to wear sensible shoes, but she's looking forward to being more free and wearing purple clothes, which is a bit more outlandish, which means a bit more out of the way or eccentric, and a red hat. So she wants to do whatever she wants. And the quote to support that, when I am an old woman, I will wear purple and a red hat which doesn't go and doesn't suit me. So no pressure to look good, no expectations. One reason she feels she must act in a sensible manner, to provide a positive role model for her children. Quote is, and set a good example for the children. What is the reason she might start acting more freely now, even though she's an old? So she doesn't cause too much alarm when she changes. So people who know me are not too shocked and surprised when suddenly I am old and start to wear purple. So she has this great plan to be free and do whatever she wants when she's older, and she's going to start acting that way now. So when she does make the change, people aren't completely, taken by surprise due to the vast shift in the way she's acting and behaving. Seems like a sensible plan to me. So let's do some language and structure analysis. Highlight or underline one place where listing is used. So listing is where you have a group of things or objects that are linked and turned into a list. Consider how the listing is effective. Throughout the first stanza, the speaker repeats I shall. What point are they making? As you recall, a repetition is used to emphasize a particular word or phrase. So what point is being made through this repetition? For number 3, how would you describe the language in this poem? Why is this type of language used? Hint, think about words such as gobble. Is that a very formal word? Is it less formal? If so, what term might we use to describe it? 4. The second stanza uses you instead of I. This is called what? 2 words beginning with a D and an A. How is it effective? 5. The second stanza is one long sentence. Why do you think the poet made this structural choice? 6. Highlight or underline the rhetorical question. Remember, a rhetorical question is a question which isn't supposed to be answered, it's merely being asked to make a point. So, where is the question? How is it effective? What point do you think the poet is making through this structural choice? And finally, number 7, what are the connotations or associations of the word suddenly, and why is it used in the final stanza? Pause the video for 15 minutes to answer these questions. So a place where listing is used. Stanza 1. I shall sit down on the pavement when I'm tired, and gobble up samples in shops, and press alarm bells, and run my stick along public railings, and make up for the sobriety of my youth. So sobriety is being very sober, very sensible. The use of listing implies there's a huge array of things you can do when you're old. So huge array means many different things. It's not a time of restriction and following rules, it's a time of letting go and doing whatever you want to do. So the repetition of I shall. This indicates they are definitely going to do all the things they set out. It is effective because it portrays old age as a time of freedom and infinite possibilities. So, how do you describe the language? The language is colloquial. So remember, colloquial, we talked about it before, is another word for informal and contains many monosyllabic, which means one syllable, words. The type of language is used as old age is portrayed like a return to childhood, where there is no need to be sophisticated or complex. So if you think about the kind of actions that the speaker wants to do, they almost seem quite childlike. So they want to wear whatever they want, regardless of if it looks good or if it matches. They want to eat whatever they want, whenever they want it. So again, this freedom, it wouldn't really link with, it wouldn't be appropriate to use very sophisticated formal language. It wouldn't be in keeping with the tone and the feel of the poem. It's all about freedom, it's all about doing whatever you want, so colloquial language, simple language, does seem like the best choice. So second stanza, it uses you instead of I. What is this called? It's direct address. So direct address, as we've talked about before, is where you're talking directly to the reader or the audience, and it's effective as it includes the reader and makes the poem feel more personal. So the second stanza is one long sentence. This highlights the idea that the speaker has many things they are looking forward to doing. It also suggests the speaker is excited and is speaking very quickly. So if you think about it, when you have a lot you want to say or you're really passionate about something, you do tend to kind of expand your sentence and keep talking without taking a breath because you have so much to say and you're so excited about it. So that's probably why they've done it. So the rhetorical question. But maybe I ought to practice a little now. This rhetorical question engages the reader and encourages them to agree with the speaker. So the connotations of the word suddenly. Suddenly has connotations of speed and unexpected occurrences. It's used in the final stanza to convey how old age creeps up on us without us realizing it. So often when things happen quite suddenly, it can be a bad thing or a scary thing, but in this case, she's really looking forward to old age, so it is a good thing. So for your final task, you've got a peel paragraph. So what I'd like to do is write a peel paragraph answering the following question. How does the speaker present the prospect, which means idea, of growing old in warning? So we're going to follow our standard structure. We're going to start with a point. The prospect of growing old is presented as. Then evidence. This can be seen through the quote. Then analysis. The language or structure device, then you put the structure or language or structure device, reveals that something. And then finally link. This highlights that growing old is. So pause the video for 10 minutes to write your peel paragraph. If you finish early, have a go at doing 2. Okay, so finally, let's go through my example of a peel paragraph. Don't worry if yours is different, just make sure you followed the correct structure. So point. The prospect of growing old is presented as wonderful and exciting. So your point should definitely be a variation of this. If you said growing old is a negative thing, that would be wrong. Evidence. There's a huge amount of evidence you can use to support the idea of growing old as being wonderful. This is what I've chosen. I shall sit down on the pavement when I'm tired and gobble up samples in shops and press alarm bells and run my stick along public railings and make up for the sobriety of my youth. Analysis. The repetition, structure device, of the word and the use of listing, structure device, implies there is a huge array of things you can do when you're old. I don't expect you to put structure device in. I only did that to make it clear that repetition and listing are both structural devices. We're not thinking about the meaning of words, we're thinking about the way it's pieced together. And then finally, a link. This is basically supporting your initial point. This highlights the fact that growing old is something one should look forward to, as it offers a wide range of opportunities and increased freedom. So make sure you've got something along those lines written down in your books. So thank you very much for your work today. I hope you found it an enjoyable poem, and maybe it's changed your perspective on the idea of growing old or how some people perceive it. So thank you very much, and I look forward to speaking to you again next lesson and seeing your work.